This plugin would change how you would use 808s on your MPC forever. Now this plugin I'm talking about is called Subfactory by Ear Music Tech. And here's the thing, I only use standalone and I make the most out of that experience. I'm not trying to use anything else. So when you have plugins that come on an MPC and you can just bring this anywhere, this really is a game changer. So in this video, I'm gonna give you a quick overview of the parameters in this plugin, then demonstrate a more practical approach of using it in trap or hip hop. So to get to Subfactory, all you have to do is just go to the plugin section and you can just go all the way down to Subfactory. And you can also go from your sounds and then go to the second menu, get to Subfactory, and it will be there. And then a quick shortcut I like to do is hold down menu pad 14 so that I could just go straight to the program edit. So right at the top, this is where you can choose from the actual presets of this plugin. So you can choose from 808, 808 sustain, 808 creative, synths, plucks, hybrid, motion, and drones, which is all different kind of basses. And then if we get out of here, then we can see that we have 2 oscillators, and we don't have to get so crazy with the terminology. It's just a sound wave. And then we have our sample. And you can solo each oscillator just by clicking on the other ones that you don't want to use. And we can see we have the sine, square, sol, tri. And then from here, you could change the pitch. For the most part, I'm not going to use that because I want to keep my stuff in key. But, you know, the only time I will probably change my pitch is to have one oscillator at 1 octave and another one at a different octave. So only really doing octave changes when it comes to pitches. And then you can actually adjust the levels. So we bring back in our second oscillator, and you can actually click in at the top to switch out the different kind of sound waves. So you can go from your analogs, and they got a lot that you can pick from, and you could go to digital kind of sound waves, and then the hybrids. You got a lot of different sound waves that you can choose from and really make something unique. And then from here we have like our global cutoff, LFO rate, and width and levels for that. And then we can actually click main again to get to a second screen, which we can use our mod wheel. And keep in mind, most of these knobs you could just automate very easily by going up here to where it says read, and all you have to do is just hit this to where it turns right, and then we can just record something in. Make sure you take it off of automation or you're gonna just mess up your whole project. So then we can just play it back. And you can see that's being automated. And you can always automate it from the grid view as well, just by going to main, double click main actually, and then click in to where you see PRG, mod wheel amount. So you can really affect anything, and you can always draw in your own just by using the pencil tool and, you know, getting creative in this way as well. Then you can mess with the other features, LFOs, filters, Unison, you know, to get that nice lush kind of bass sound. So let's just reset it. And let's just hear it when it down versus with it up. Yeah, that's fire. And you can automate that as well. And you could put it to one of the oscillators, so you could put it on any of the sound waves. So you could have one oscillator without the unison and another one with it, and it would sound like that. And then we go over here, we have more controls. And the one that we're gonna most likely use from the control feature is glide time. We're gonna be going crazy now with the 808 slides and the drill beats. Let's go to a different preset real quick. And then if we go over to the next tab, it's just more in depth, you know, and a bigger screen of what we can do with the first oscillator. And then we could bring in our second oscillator as well. And index is just a frequency modulator is how I like to think about it. So it's going to modulate the frequency of the sound wave that you're on. And that could really be a cool bass sound, especially if you automate it, and you can do the same with the second oscillator. And then we go into our ADSR kind of screen. You can see you could adjust the attack, decay, sustain, release. just the regular parameters that you would get in any kind of sound design plugin, which is pretty cool. And you can do that with the pitch, and you can do that with the filter as well. Then now moving on to the sample screen, you know, you still got those same parameters, pitch, tune. And with start, what you can do is if the sample has like a kick in it, you can kind of cut that out. So let me actually go to something that has more of a kick. Let's go back to our 808s. Let's go to classic thump. Now, when you mess with the start, what it's gonna do is change the starting point of that transient. So it's probably hitting over here now instead of the initial part. And then delay is a bit different because it's just gonna come in at a different timing. And then you have the filter cutoffs of the sample, of course, so we can just mess with that. Now, a good part about the sample is the clip, actually. Now, on top of the oscillators that you have, you can really get a nice thump by using clip. So I don't want to hear no more about how do I make my 808s hit harder. Really, you just use the clip feature. And then you could click again to the different parameters. It also has its own ADSR, and you can also sidechain the sample with one of the oscillators, whether it's oscillator A or B. So that's pretty cool. And then you have your mixer, and then we have our mod LFOs. And I'm not too big on, like I said, sound designing, so I'm not probably gonna get into LFOs and all that, but for those that are, you have these features and you could click through and change the LFO targets. And then the last screen is just your effects, and you can see it has 3 effects from the ring mod and then chorus, so it sounds more lush. Bring up the chorus a bit more. Yeah, that's hard. And then with the ring mod, let's just mess with a couple of these parameters. And then if you click again, you get to the EQ screen where you can adjust the lows, mid, and high. And also, it has a feature called bass mono. So what this is, when you're using Unison or you're adding like different stuff to where the stereo image is getting bigger, then you still want to maintain the very low frequencies to be in mono. So I'm glad that they have this, because this is what I would have usually done if I was using any 808 that was stereo. I would just use the stereo width plugin in the MPC and then just put the lows in mono, but you have the bass mono. So with it off, you can hear how wide it sounds. So hopefully you heard how it just kind of got closer together. And then let's go back to main. So that's just a quick overview of the parameters in the plugin. Now let's have some fun. I'm gonna go through a couple of my old beats and swap out those 808s with subfactory and see what we can come up with.